So I think when we were in Singapore, Chunchan was able to improve her English quite a bit.
A little?
A little?
Yeah.
Oh wow, they got all these rocks out here now. Check that out. Hey guys, what's going on? Chris here, checking in with. We're here with Chunchan, and where are we today, Tun?
We are in Vietnam.
We're in Vietnam, back home in Da Nang, Vietnam. And as you can see, the weather is pretty cloudy, some pretty strong winds, some big waves here. We actually had some really bad weather here in Da Nang recently. There was a big typhoon, there was some nasty flooding, so we're going to be going for a ride today, exploring our local roads to see some of the damage, and we're going to be talking about some of the popular questions we've been getting lately. We just came back here from our trip to Singapore. We had an awesome time in Singapore. We filmed a bunch of videos there, and we got a lot of questions. Are we going to be moving there? So we're going to talk about that and some other questions on today's ride. So let's go ahead and get started.
Let's go.
So we're starting our ride here by the beach area. This dude's feeding the pigeons, I guess. So on one hand, it feels really nice to be back home on our normal bikes, on our normal roads. On the other hand, it was a little bit of a shock to come back here to the roads here in Vietnam after riding in Singapore, where just everything's a lot more orderly on the roads and they have some nice cycling paths. But as you can see, we're riding more midday right now, so there's a lot less traffic. So that's one nice thing about the weather now. We're now in the fall season here in Vietnam, so it's no longer like blisteringly hot in the middle of the day, and now we can do some midday rides, which is great for us because the weather's a lot cooler now. I say cool, but it's still like 27, 28 degrees Celsius plus real feel with humidity, but that feels cool now for us. Man, just getting passed by the e-bike, e-scooter, whatever that is. A lot of people riding those here in Vietnam. So actually, this isn't our first ride back here in Vietnam. We've been here for a while actually. We've just had a lot of personal things going on. So we came back to Da Nang from Singapore, and immediately we had to move into our new apartment. So that was a crazy first like 3 days, just getting everything moved there, getting everything organized and ready to go. And fortunately, that's all been going smoothly. We're completely moved into the new apartment now, and everything there is going good for the most part. We'll be filming more videos about that kind of stuff, like living costs here. And yeah, if there's any topics you want us to go over, leave a suggestion down below in the comments and we'll try and cover it. But after that, Tung had some unfortunate news from her family. Someone in her hometown had passed away, and she had to go back for the funeral. And it was a horrible situation actually. She booked a train ticket to go back, like the next one that she could take. And it just so happened that that same day, there was a massive typhoon that came here into Da Nang. So one of the biggest ones that they've had in years, and some of the worst flooding they've had in like 50 years. So when I say bad, it was really bad. Like, I've been through a bunch of typhoons and some flooding in Japan, and just the level of damage, the level of the rain pour, and the level of how quickly all the water rose and all the flooding happened, it was so dangerous. And a lot of people were stuck outside. A lot of cars stopped working. A lot of people's houses were ruined. Overall, there was a lot of damage. And for Tung, luckily our place was fine for the most part. There was a little bit of leakage in some places, but our apartment building was fine. The big thing though at that time was Tung really wanted to get back in time for the funeral. And unfortunately, the train actually ended up getting canceled, which is definitely for the best because the roads were in rough shape, and the train actually goes through these giant mountain region, the Hai Van Pass. It's not this one, but it's similar to this. And there's just a high risk of rock slides. The place we're going to be riding today, you'll see some of the rock slide damage. And so this is actually like over a week later after that. She went back to her hometown for a week. Then after the funeral, she went to Hanoi to visit her sister and spend some time with her family. And so I wasn't able to film any videos during that time. I was just alone and editing all the Singapore videos. So it gave me some time to catch up on that and do some solo riding. But The riding here has been pretty tough actually because a lot of our usual roads have been closed. You'll notice a lot of the boats are brought in here. I guess, yeah, a lot of them were damaged. A lot of them were brought in for shelter just because of all the storms, the strong winds right now. And the first few days after the storm, it was just madness and chaos, like so much damage. So that's where we are right now. There's a little bit of a time jump from when we moved into our apartment, and now we've been there for a couple weeks already, but finally starting to be able to start filming again. So into today's first topic question is, are we going to be moving to Singapore? Chun-chan liked Singapore.
Yes.
You had a good time?
Yes.
Yeah. What was your favorite thing about Singapore?
Convenience.
Convenient?
Yes.
Yeah. For example, what was convenient?
Train.
Train?
Train. Yes.
Yeah, public transportation.
Yes.
You can bring the bike on the train.
Yes.
So when you're tired on a ride, you can take the train home.
Yes.
Yeah. We can't do that here. I guess you could take a Grab taxi back home if we needed to here. But yeah, we got dozens of comments asking like, are you guys moving to Singapore? It's a great place to relocate, and I wanted to mention that in the video because it is actually something we're strongly considering, and that's one of our main goals in like our current lifestyle, is that we wanted to travel to a couple different places, get some ideas on like how life is in other parts of the world. We spent 7 years of our life living in Japan, so we're very used to living there. We know what to expect. We know we're very comfortable there. But we wanted to experience other places. We went to Thailand. We've been in Vietnam for a while now. Yeah, we just went to Singapore. There's still some more places we want to go. We still need to visit my home in the US. We still need to go to Korea. We want to go to Taiwan again. And Tung still hasn't been to Europe, so there's still a lot of places that we want to visit. And so that's our priority right now. But while we're doing this traveling, our biggest priority is finding our next like forever home, like where we want to stay long term. So we've been enjoying our life here in Vietnam, but still I'm not sure like how I feel about living here for the long term. There's some other things I really value, just like safety. Sometimes it's really dangerous going out here to be on the roads. There's a lot of bad drivers, no public transportation, and yeah, just the convenience. There's certain things that I really miss about living in a modern, more convenient kind of society. So we still want to visit some more places before we make up our mind. And Singapore has quickly moved up to the top of our list. Like, we were not expecting most of like what we experienced there. Honestly, I didn't really know what to expect for Singapore. I know we had a lot of like our viewers who are based there who've been suggesting for us to go there for years. And I've seen some pictures, some short video of some of the cycling there, and it looked like pretty decent, but you can only tell so much from like a picture or from like a short video. And actually experiencing it for ourselves, like from the moment we entered Singapore, just everything was smooth and organized, and we felt extremely comfortable. It had a similar kind of feeling to Japan, just the way how everything is organized, everything's really clean, the people are really orderly. And yeah, I'm sure there's some things that you can only experience when you live there for a longer period of time. And yeah, we won't know that unless we actually go there for a longer period of time, but that is something that we are hoping to do. We are definitely going to be going back for some longer trips. Yeah, you can see some of the flooding damage here. So over in this area, we're going to start to see it considerably. And yeah, we were only in Singapore for 1 week, but we had a very, very good impression from that 1 week, and we're going to be going back for some longer trips. I think with Tung's visa, she can go for 30 days. So we might try and max it out, go for a full month, and see if we can find a decent apartment rental that's not too expensive. Yeah, this is really dirty. So we're gonna take this nice and slow. We don't want the bike to get all muddy. Yeah, you can still see we got some of the running water here. Tung is going too fast. She's not the one who cleans the bikes, so she doesn't care. I'm the bike cleaner. Finally, out of the wet section. Originally, like that road actually is like, it does have some water leakage on there all the time. I don't know why, But especially now, it's just a lot more than usual. And even though it's been dry all day today, it's still all wet there. So that's the unfortunate thing right now. On every bike ride, our bikes are getting dirty. This is the normal road that we take to get here, but it is completely out of commission right now. So you can't even walk around it, completely shut off. But anyway, going back to the topic of Singapore, we instantly felt like really comfortable when we were there. We talked about a lot of our first impressions of Singapore in some of our other videos. So I won't repeat all of those here, but one of the things I really liked in Singapore was just the diversity of different cultures, different types of people. And that's something that Japan doesn't have. So we've also talked a lot about like why we left Japan and some of the things we don't like about Japan. And so those are still considerations on like whether we want to go back or if there's a place that's more suitable for us moving forward. And honestly, Singapore really impressed us. I really like being in multicultural environments, and it's really good for like being able to experience and meet new people with different backgrounds. And some of my closest friends are people who are multilingual, multicultural. It's hard for me to relate to like normal Americans now, because I mean most Americans, or a lot of Americans I should say, are just, they speak English. Of course there's a lot of like multicultural Americans, people who come from different backgrounds. But what I mean to say is it's a lot easier for us to like get along with and relate to people who go through similar experiences to us. So people who can speak Japanese, English, Vietnamese, a mix of different languages. Yeah, there's just a lot more that we can relate to. And the other nice thing is just not standing out as a foreigner. In Japan, like you don't get it in the big cities. Like people won't be like, oh, gaijin da, it's a foreigner. But you do get it in the countryside in Japan. It's not always like, there's different types of racism. It's not really racism, but it is you getting singled out because of your race. And there's no necessarily like ill intent behind it. But still, it does get annoying. Even if you live there a couple years, you're still treated like just a random tourist off the plane. So do you really want to invest like living your whole life in an area that's going to treat you like that for the rest of your life? And I don't know if I feel comfortable with that. Unfortunately, that's the same thing in a lot of Asian countries, especially here in Vietnam. Even in Da Nang, we get that quite often. In Tung's hometown in the countryside, we get it all the time. And I personally can't stand it. It gets on my nerves. Like I don't blame the kids, especially the kids. They're really kind and polite, but even like the older people, they'll like point and scream to the rest of their family to like get them to come look at you just because you're so rare. And I didn't experience anything like that in Singapore, so I thought that was really cool, like to have this sort of this melting pot here in Asia where I can be myself, where I don't really stand out as a foreigner. Like I'm nothing special, I'm just another normal person going for my bike ride, and that's it. So I really like that, like sense of just feeling like I can fit in even though I'm not from there. That's also kind of like a very American trait. Like in America, we have a lot of different people from different cultures, and especially us being like an international couple, I really don't want that extra attention. I just want us to be able to live our lives comfortably and normal, and it seems like Singapore is a really good place where we can do that. Check out this view though. This is one of the things we really like about cycling here in Da Nang. We got a lot of nice hills, and the views here are going to be way better than cycling in the city center in Singapore. There's some more rock slide damage over here. Oh wow, they got all these rocks out here now. Check that out. Yeah, some of these sections are in really bad shape. The other thing that I really liked about Singapore was that it is an English like focused society. So there are a lot of different people, different groups, and they all have their like original native languages, but they're all also native English speakers, which is really cool. So English is the language that joins everyone together. And the really nice thing about that is it's not just the native English speakers, but a lot of foreigners go there and they learn English, and then they become proficient in like speaking English with everyone else. We actually met someone like that the other a cycling YouTuber, Nini Jiang. She helped guide us for our cycle tour around Singapore. She's actually from mainland China, and she immigrated to Singapore with her husband, also from China. And she originally didn't speak that much English, but now like she was speaking English to us fine. So I think when we were in Singapore, Chunchan was able to improve her English quite a bit.
A little?
A little.
Yeah.
She was able to speak with Nini and some other people. So I think being in that kind of society will help motivate her to like learn English more. She has an opportunity to actually use it. Whereas like here in Vietnam, obviously she's not going to be able to practice her English unless she speaks with me or we make other foreign friends who speak English. And not just English, the other nice thing about Singapore is there's apparently a huge Japanese population there. So we'd have lots of opportunities to make more Japanese friends, continue like speaking Japanese so we don't continue to get worse with our Japanese skills. And there's lots of Japanese restaurants there. So yeah, all across the board, really impressed with Singapore. Great cycling culture, great infrastructure, great opportunity for advancement. And of course, there's a lot of cons, like getting a visa isn't going to be that easy. The living expenses can be quite high, but also, I mean, the salary's high, so relative, I'm not sure how bad it is. We've just begun our big climb for today. This is the final climb on the intercom segment over here. And yeah, to summarize my thoughts on this topic, will we be moving to Singapore? And there's a short-term answer and a long-term answer. The short-term answer is we definitely want to go back so we can experience it for longer and get some more like solid impressions of how we feel after spending some more time there. And we also need to look more into the job market there. So one of the difficult things I think with moving there is we need to find some sort of job sponsor. And you need to be over a certain like salary level, especially if I'm going to be supporting her. So unfortunately, I don't think Tung would qualify for most work over there. So she'd have to be on some kind of family visa with me, I think. And yeah, we'll be on the lookout. If there's any good job opportunities that arise, probably jump on that, and we'll have to wait and see what happens. Hopefully we can build some better connections. At this point, I'm not sure like what job I'd be interested in doing there. I do enjoy English teaching, but I don't really like doing it full-time. I like doing it more part-time, so I don't think that's realistic for getting a visa sponsor. If possible, it'd be great to find a job in the cycling industry, kind of similar to what I did in Japan before. So for any new subscribers, I used to work as the BMC brand manager in Japan, and that was great, being able to go to different like cycling events so I could do my normal job and also film some interesting videos for YouTube while doing that. So if I can find a way to balance both in a way that benefits the company and helps benefit like this channel, filming new videos, I think that'd be great. So we'll be on the lookout for jobs within the cycling industry. We'll see. So that's the more long-term answer. Of course, we still have the nice option of keeping this as our home base, and the living costs are nice and cheap here, so we can always just go on vacation to Singapore a couple times a year maybe. It is expensive having to like keep a place here and keep all of our stuff and then doing a short-term lease wherever we go, but still it is nice to be able to do more traveling. I think that'd be one disadvantage living in Singapore is we'd be spending so much on rent that I'd feel guilty like traveling and going somewhere else while we're paying for that expensive rent there. That is, if we're able to do that. That's the other disadvantage of going back to a normal like full-time work position is we lose the ability to travel, but at the same time we get some more stability for our long-term future. Pros and cons to every choice. This is the finish here. She always has a strong finish. All right, nice job on the climb, Tunchan.
I am Greek now.
By the way, you guys should follow Tunchan over on Instagram. So she's got her own account now, Tung Cycling, and we'll be uploading some fun videos and pictures from our rides together there. And of course, there's also the Two Wheel Cruise account. We're going to be fighting to see, we never uploaded that seriously on Instagram before, but we're going to be doing that moving forward. So we're going to have a race now to see who can get the more followers quickly. We're going to race to, I'm already at like 3,000 subs, so I guess we should race to like 5,000 or 10,000. And let's see who's going to get there first, Tunchan or the Two Wheel Cruise channel. So go check us out over on Instagram. And yeah, nice views over here. So this is what it's like. One of our favorite areas to ride over here in Da Nang, the intercom Peninsula here over in Son Tra. Unfortunately, a lot of road damage with the flooding here recently. You guys saw a lot of that on the way over here. But yeah, this side of the road here is just covered in steep walls, so a really big risky area for rock slides, and unfortunately there were quite a lot of them here recently. All right guys, we're gonna finish up this video here so we can continue on with our ride, and we hope you guys enjoyed today's discussion, seeing some of the nice sights here in Da Nang. And if you guys have any suggestions for what we talked about today, please let us know down in the comments. And if you want to see more videos of us cycling here in Vietnam and in Singapore, we'll leave the playlist up here as well, so you can go check that out. Thanks as always for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time here on Tuvo Cruise.
Bye bye.